Phil Ferguson is an investment advisor representative with 16 years of experience. He owns his own investment company, Polaris Financial Planning. Polaris Financial Planning, LLC is a fee-only registered investment advisor and does not receive money from anyone other than their paying clients. Polaris is committed to supporting the growth of secular movement in the United States and donates at least 10% of all gross, not net, revenue to support this cause. Phil is also a member of the SSA Board of Directors. Please welcome Mr. Phil Ferguson.
How y'all doing? Ooh, it's a little loud. I don't know about you ladies, but I like the heels. Everybody having fun today? Yeah. Well, I was hoping this was going to work, and it worked up until just about a minute ago, so I'll have to stay close to the table here. All right, how many high school students do we have here? Okay, we've got a few. And we're going to talk about how to build high school groups. So we're going to get into that in a minute, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take off the hat because it's already too hot. So hopefully I didn't mess up the dew. Earlier this week, I had someone friend me on Facebook or asked for a friend request. And I usually have this rule, if they have less than 100 friends in common, I go check out their page. We had 90. It's close. So when I checked out their page, hardcore Christian. And so I sent them an email and said, why should we be friends? Why did you ask for a friend request? And she said, God told me to friend you. I said, you're in. Okay? So I accepted the friend request, and then I sent her a message that said, just so you know, God also spoke to me and told me to be an atheist and deconvert as many Christians as possible. She defriended me. A new record. So the question is, did she chicken out, or did God change his fucking mind? I'm not sure which it is. Really quickly, we mentioned my company, Polaris Financial Planning. I also have a podcast called The Pink Atheist. If you'd like to be on a podcast, please contact me. We want to lift all boats. We want all groups to succeed: high school, college, professional, national, local, student, non-student. And if you want to come on and bitch about someone else who you don't like in the movement, tough shit, you're not going to be on. We got enough of that. It's time for us to work together and move forward. Yeah. This is my blog, Skeptic Money. I welcome you there as well. My local high school, where my daughter was going, but we've moved since then, so that's kind of cool. I'll try one more time on this bad boy. They had announcements every day. They'd read over the PA system. And they would be everything from, pick up your cap and gown to hear the word of the Lord on Wednesday morning. Because the Bible club meets then. You don't want to miss the Bible club. And the thing that I thought was interesting is refreshments will be provided. By whom? Who is providing those refreshments? Well, it turns out outside people are providing those refreshments. So I'm not sure what the rules are for that. So I contacted the school. And they said that they don't have written guidelines. That's their first problem for each outside announcement. And they're all approved or denied by the principal. So there's no rules. So he just arbitrarily decides what groups he allows to make announcements, which groups he doesn't make announcements. So I thought, maybe we should put an announcement in and see what we can get. Then, the following week, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Anybody ever heard of them? You got them in your schools. You've had them in your schools. An incredibly large, well-structured, organized organization. And I want us to copy as much of what they do as we can. But like in Champaign-Urbana, they go and they hire a person. They give them an office. And they're full-time paid person. Then they go to all the local churches, and they do it city by city in the local area. And they meet 4, 5, 6, 8 different churches, and they specifically ask the congregation, anybody here work in the school? Anybody have kids in the school? Anybody think that your kids should be tempted away from Jesus while at school? Anyone think that we could save more kids and bring them to heaven? If they're lucky, some of those churches have a coach, football coach, basketball coach, volleyball coach, cheer coach, whatever it is. Then they sit down with those coaches and the parents and they train them exactly what they can and cannot do. And they know the line and they go all the way to it. And if they can, they step over it a little bit until they get knocked back, and then they stand right next to the line that's legal. Then they have the parents and the teachers encourage students to start groups. So while atheist clubs get delays and roadblocks, these guys are helping from the inside start these groups. So they had a spiritual spring training, whatever that is. And they're having it at the local church. I've taken out a lot of names and details to make sure everyone stays private in this. But this message was not only read over the PA system, it was sent to the email system to every student, every teacher, every faculty, and every single parent. That's how I got it. And I thought, well, you know what? Fair is fair. So we wrote a letter with the help from ISA, and we got some ISA members here. Thank you. Well, they're way in the back. Thank you, guys. And we said, basically, it's come to our attention that you support leadership development and that you do it through all these means that I just described. And we are all in favor of that. We want you to promote our group, which is also an outside of the high school group. It's at the university. And so we want you to promote our leadership training event. Fair is fair. We also informed them that they have to. And so we quoted some legal precedent that if they let an outside organization, they have to let all outside organizations. Schools don't understand that. If they let one church group from the outside make an announcement, they have to let the KKK make an announcement. They have to let the neo-Nazis make an announcement. They might even have to let atheists make an announcement. Yeah. So we said thank you in advance for your support to religious equality. And we went over this again and again and drafted it, redrafted it, and we thought we'd done a pretty cool job. We'd explained it, we were very nice, polite, and the response that we get, we don't like your tone. My tone? I'll give you some tone. We got a tone troll. I couldn't believe it. He didn't address the issues. He just said, I don't like your tone. But he did say, we are not going to allow children to become pawns in our school. And I thought, well, they already are pawns. But his next sentence was basically, if you can get a student to come forward and ask us to promote your outside activity, i.e. making a student a pawn, we'll consider it. Not even that we'll do it, we'll consider it. So we went back and forth as whether they would tell us just to go away or if they would do it. I did not expect this response, so we had to think about it some more. And we went back and forth a couple emails. And finally, they put this in the morning announcements. The Illini Secular Student Alliance, ISA, a student organization at the University of Illinois, will have a secular spring training. U of I leaders, secular leaders, I didn't edit that right, will be on hand to speak, and we'll have free pizza. And this went to every student, every parent, every faculty, every staff member of the entire high school in the high school district. The very next day, they stopped outside announcements. And I was kind of upset a little bit, but I thought, that's still a win. If we get to the position where we have equal time, we win. I know that. That's been shown on the internet because we own that. That's awesome. I want to make a better world, and hopefully you do too. The big question is, what makes a better world? And thankfully, so many speakers have already talked about this earlier today and this weekend. And it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're promoting freedom, free thought, individuality, non-faith, I guess. Anything that's not this. This is bad. And moderate Christians support this, in my opinion, even though they may disagree, by supporting Christianity. The very idea that you found a good parking space at the mall is a miracle offends me. And oddly, this week, I did see a miracle. And I wanted to share with you a miracle. On Tuesday, my mom, had a quadruple bypass. I didn't get permission for her photo, that's why I put the little smiley face. This is 2 hours after the surgery. They opened up both of her legs, took out arteries, opened up her chest, put her heart and lungs and liver and everything on machines outside of her body. This is denying nature. This is a miracle where you're circumventing the laws of nature. And 2 hours later, she's on 7 different drugs that men and women created through research and study. Religion would want none of this, and my mom would be dead. So it's important, and I see this as a battle, and the 10,000 little Todd Stiefels is an idea that I love. I want you to go out also. I don't know if you want to make Todd Stiefels, but I want more soldiers in the battle. I'm an evangelical atheist, and I want to spread the message because I think I'm right. If you think that we are right and that the world would be a better place with medicine versus Westboro Baptist, I encourage you to become evangelical yourselves. I recently watched this movie. It says, no matter what you do, it'll never amount to anything more than a single drop of water in a limitless ocean. And then the response was, what is an ocean but a multitude of drops from Cloud Atlas? And I was in the middle of doing this presentation when I watched that movie, and I was like, I have to steal that. You may feel at times that you're just a drop in the ocean. And that's okay. If we get enough drops, it makes a difference, and it changes the tide. It changes the levels. And I want more of those drops. I'm very thirsty for more drops, and I want you to go out and help do that. One of the things that I would like to challenge all of the college groups to do is within the next 12 months, every college group to start a high school group. Not every college group can do it in the next 12 months. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going to happen. And like August said Friday night, I want to start a conversation, and I want this to be the conversation. I have a few suggestions that you may be able to use or you may not be able to use. But I did a blog post. Oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. The reason we want to do this for a couple things, there's 350, maybe 400, I'm not sure the official number, of SSA groups in colleges, and there's 5,000 colleges. There's currently about 50 high school groups. Some states have 2. There's over 25,000 high schools. So it's not just the numbers that are bigger. There are a lot of people in high school that never go to college. If we're only in college, we never can reach them. The Christians know this. We need to learn this as well, and we need to get into that same battlefield, into the high schools. I wrote a blog post called 10 Easy Steps to Start a High School Atheist Club. And it did really well, so I was very happy about that. And I've even had a student from St. Louis called me and said that he read that post and he used that, and it encouraged him to go start a club in his high school. So I was very excited. If just that one forms, I am delighted, but maybe there'll be more. So I'm going to go over some of those things. And these are things that if you're in a high school, you may have already done these. If you're in a college group, you may have already done these. But we got to try to figure out how to get these things to happen in high schools. The first thing is to get the SSA starting packet. For those of you who've been around for years, like ISA, you've probably not seen a group starting packet in years. Maybe you should get one. What high school do you start? Is it the one closest to your university? Maybe. Is it the one from your hometown? Maybe. Is it one where you have a niece or nephew at? I don't know. I'm open to your ideas and suggestions. I'm hoping that a couple hundred groups can come up with better ideas than I come up with, and maybe next year one or more of you can give a presentation how you did this. That would be fantastic. Read the group starting packet. It's packed full of information. And this is one of those things, this is what I did when we sent that email. You got to get the rules from the school office. If they have no rules, then your group starts tomorrow. If they have rules, you have to follow the rules. If they say you need 5 members, you need 5 members. As long as the rules are applied equally to everybody, that's okay. They can have rules, but they have to be equal to everyone. One of the things I highly recommend to students is that you detail who you talk to and when. You may never need this, but you may. Who did you talk to, the time, the place, what did they say, what did you discuss? We did that. If you follow all the rules, they must recognize you. Don't let them provide a roadblock. And there's all kinds of things, but the two that I hear most oftenly, the first one is you need an advisor. If you cannot find an advisor, they must provide you one. This is well-documented law. Schools will often say you need to find an advisor. If they tell you need to find an advisor, go look for an advisor. You should put a little effort forth, but don't stick necessarily to the physics teacher or the biology teacher. You might find a gym teacher or an art teacher, music teacher. You never know. Anybody can do it. They don't have to be an atheist. They don't have to be an agnostic. As long as they will do their duties as the advisor, they will do it. This is why it's critical for you to document who you talk to and when. Because when you go to the school and say, well, I haven't asked anybody, can you give me somebody? They might be in a strong position to tell you no. If you've gone and asked half a dozen people, and a couple of them said, I'd like to help, but I got to worry about my job. Then you can go to the school and say, you have to provide me one. If they give you any more trouble after that, you contact the SSA. The Equal Access Act, which has been mentioned several times this weekend, was actually promoted by Christian groups because they wanted to get into the schools, because they figured out before we did, you need to get into the schools. I'm not sure I want to necessarily go to elementary school, but high school I want to be in. If they have any non-curriculum clubs, they must allow your group. If they only have clubs that are related to classes like math class or language classes, and there's nothing else, then you're out. That's fine. It's fair. It's equal. Another one that students often complain about is slow response. You have a meeting, they delay it. You have a meeting, they cancel it. If you can, find out how long other groups took to form. If they formed in 2 weeks and you're now at 2 months, you might have a problem. You need to find out what that problem is, and you need to document, again, who you talk to. You contact the FFRF, you contact the ACLU, you contact the SSA, and you can show them all the information of who you've talked to and when, and they will write letters and help you out. You will suddenly get results. The next thing that you need to do in a college or high school is flyers or signs. You can make your own. SSA has some. Check with the school what's allowed. I was talking to one of the high school groups, and they said that there's a rule that it has to be signed on by vice principal or somebody like that before you could put them up. But they noticed in their school, the Christian club puts up whatever flyers they want, and there's no signature. That's a problem. And that's something that should be documented and reported. Have recruiting meetings. Daniel just did, is he in here? Did a fabulous talk just an hour ago, about how to bring in more members and make them stick. I love that talk, Daniel, by the way, if they didn't tell you. Do a variety of things. Don't just do philosophical debate. I agree 100%. Do charity work, do fun things, go to the bar, whatever, as long as they're 21 or whatever your state law is. But do a variety of things. Make sure you meet people. Good organized churches, when a new person walks in for the first time, they have a greeter. They say hello. They welcome them. They ask for their name and address. They call them. Maybe you don't have to go that far, maybe you won't, but at least say hello. If you all come back from the end of the summer and you're all friends and you meet and there's 5 new people in the back being ignored, you will eventually die. You have to make everyone welcome, especially the new people. There are likely many atheists in your school. If you can, set up a table at the cafeteria or give donuts. You may not have money, especially a high school student, but there may be a community student or a community group in your town or nearby that just likes the idea of helping out some high school atheists. Meet the college groups, meet the community groups, talk to them, and see what they can do. And like I said, when in doubt, just do whatever the Christians can do. So if they can give away free donuts, so can you. If they can get an announcement every day that their meeting is Wednesday in the morning, so can you. If they can promote a spiritual leadership, you can promote a secular leadership. Whatever they can do, I'd like you to come up with your own new ideas, but I'll take what they can do. Talk to the other groups. Share speakers. If you contact the local community groups, the college groups and high school groups, we have to learn better how to work together. That's very important. And that's one of the reasons on my podcast, The Pink Atheist, we often have on high school students and college students and people who run maybe a group in Akron, Ohio. And people are like, why are you having them on? Because everybody counts. Everybody's important. Maybe someone listening lives near there. Maybe someone says, hey, I could do that. How did you start it? Work with the groups in your area. If you can get a speaker, whether it's the university or a community group, make sure the other groups know that you have a speaker. Ideally, you could have something where they talk to the high school students at 2 in the afternoon, then they go meet the community group at 5:30 because they're getting off of work, and then they go right over and meet the students at 7, or you can join together. And so the person's paid for, put them to work, get them to have 2 talks at the same time. Share those speakers. If you are within 5 hours of Champaign, Illinois, I can come give a talk. My shameless plug. I don't have a book. So I do talks, so you can have me come talk. And I guess that's really the big thing. And before you get doing any of that, there's one more thing tomorrow that you probably really have to do. And that is to go get some Twinkies. So keep that in mind. And I finished within my 20, I think. So I can take a few questions if you have them. If you are in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, good question. Jessica, K, they call you. Come up here, come here. And is Andy in here? Contact the SSA and talk to Andy, or talk to Jessica.
I'm the new regional campus organizer for this group, so it's my job to make sure you can get speakers.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for reminding me. What's that?
Can you drop some last names?
Jessica, what is your last name?
Griffin.
Griffin.
So, but it's spelled, my name's spelled with a K, so Jessica with a K dot Griffin. That's it.
And the nice thing that Jessica can help you do, or almost all schools have a regional coordinator now. The SSA is spending money that's been generously donated with people that have lots of it. And I love that. But you can get a speaker that maybe can go to 4 or 5 colleges in the same area, so your cost is not so much. If a speaker, someone famous, not me, but someone famous costs $5,000, maybe 3 or 4 schools can pay $1,000 or $2,000 a piece and get to share the expenses of the hotel and drive them around. Plus you get to meet students at other universities, which is another great thing to do. Other questions?
I recently learned that, because high school SSAs sort of start on their own and there's a student who wants to do it and makes it happen. I recently learned that Christian clubs, generally somebody shows up at the school and says there's going to be a club here to make it happen. So is there a good way as college students for us to try to encourage a high school student to start the club on their own without us seeing why we're showing up and making it happen?
I don't know if there's a good way yet, at least not that I know of, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation. I figured that if I showed up at the local high school and I said, show me the kids, that just seemed too Catholic. But if you're 18 or 19 and you go to the local high school and say, hey, we have a group and we're promoting these groups in high schools, who can we talk to? Maybe they'll tell you to beat it. I don't know. Maybe you create a Facebook group for the high school that you've targeted. And you have the name of the high school in the group. They can't get in trouble because you're doing it and you're not going there. Maybe they get 4 or 5 people that join up because they randomly found the group, and then you can start talking to them. Maybe you can go to events and chat up some of the students. I'm hoping at some point you know a younger sibling or a cousin or somebody that's at that school, that there's some kind of personal contact that I'm likely not going to have with a 16-year-old, and that's probably for the best. Yeah.
I was just going to say, in terms of colleges, like with me at Auburn High, with the Auburn University group being like right there, they were just, the fact that they were there and helping come to our meetings and attendance boost was just a big fact.
Yeah, it's amazing if you're alone or just a couple of you in high school and somebody like ISA or some other big college group shows up with 10 students at your high school and says, we're here for you, we're going to support you. It makes it really hard for the administration to tell you you can't do it. And I think, am I out of time?
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention.